Welcome to Country Cookin'. I'm your hostess, Cindy Schumacher. On today's show, we're going to be making a roast pork with a Hogaholics award-winning dry rub mix, cream of wild rice soup, a chicken wing dip, and mocha chunk cookies. So we're going to start out with the Hogaholics rub. This is out of a barbecue cookbook that I have from Kansas City, and if you are familiar with Kansas City at all, they kind of pride themselves in being the barbecue capital of the world. So this is a rub that they have in that cookbook, and it's very good. Whenever I make pork of any kind, I use this Hogaholics rub, and I just keep it in my cupboard. So it takes a tablespoon of garlic powder, a tablespoon of onion powder, oops, looks like a little bit dry in there. Let's loosen it up. A tablespoon of chili powder, and a tablespoon of paprika, and then we need a half teaspoon of black pepper, a half teaspoon of cayenne pepper, a half teaspoon of white pepper, then we go to 2 tablespoons of salt, two tablespoons of sugar, and 2 tablespoons of lemon peel. I have grated fresh lemon peel here. So we'll whisk that together. Okay, I have a 2-pound pork butt roast, and so we're going to rub it with Hogaholics. And what you want to do is you always want to put your roast in the crock pot with the fat side up so that it bastes. So we're going to throw that in. I'm going to throw in a little bit of coarsely chopped onion with that. And then we're going to dump in a bottle of barbecue sauce. And a 12-ounce can of root beer. I have root beer in the bottle, so we'll use a measuring cup here so that we don't overdo it. Oh, darn, it looks like I'm going to have a root beer float later on and use up the rest of this root beer. So we're going to get this going in the crock pot. If you want to cook it on high, it takes about 4 hours. If you cook it on low, about 8 hours. So we'll get it going here. And I'm going to take a break, clean everything up, and we're going to start on the cookies. But I want to tell you, as usual, if you want a copy of any of these recipes and you don't have internet, give the girls a call. They'd be happy to help you with the copy. If you have internet, you go to the home page, and there's a cow on the right hand side. click that cow and that's where you'll find the recipes, even going back to when Mary was hostess. So we'll be right back.
Blazing fast broadband internet from Valley is now available and better than ever. Let us help you decide which speed is best for you. The 50 meg speed would be sufficient for 1 to 4 devices, mainly emailing and surfing the web. Our 100 meg speed works great for 5 to 8 devices and multiple users streaming and downloading video. If you have 8 devices or more that are simultaneously streaming or gaming, or if you have a medium-sized business, the 250 meg speed would work best for you. For extreme heavy home or work from home use, or if you have a medium to large business using 15 or more devices, you may want to consider our 500 meg download speed to fit your needs. And if you're a home or business that needs it all, we have our 1000 meg, 1 gig broadband internet speed. Call our office today at 437-2615 and talk with one of our staff members to pick the speed that's best for you.
Okay, we're going to work on the cookies. We're going to combine our dry ingredients first. We have 2.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Whew. And we have 1/3 cup of unsweetened cocoa powder. We need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And we need a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. Okay, now I always take a wire whisk and combine the ingredients, especially when you're combining like a cocoa in there, so that you don't have spots where it's really chocolatey and other spots where it's really white. Okay, I have softened a cup of butter in the microwave just to make it a little easier to work with. And then we're going to cream that with our sugar. I have a cup of white sugar and 3/4 cup of brown sugar. But before I do that, we need to combine 2 teaspoons of instant coffee crystals. So Folgers or whatever you have. If you have, you want something that dissolves, so it has to be an instant coffee rather than just like coffee grounds. And that's what's going to give us the mocha flavor in our cookies. And then you take 2 teaspoons of a coffee liqueur. I'm using Kahlua. Okay, so we're dissolving the coffee crystals in the liqueur. I'm going to whip up the butter a little bit here. We'll add our sugars. Okay, now to that I'm going to add 3 large eggs. Okay, and the one thing about these cookies is you don't want to overbeat it. You just kind of get it till it's combined. We'll add our dry ingredients and we'll add our coffee crystals. I'm going to get a little spatula here that can really get it all out. If you don't want to have a big bottle of liqueur in your house, if you don't use it for anything else, you can buy those little small the little small bottles that they have in the airports. Or sometimes you can find them in a liquor store. Okay, now the recipe actually calls for you to cut up a semi-sweet chocolate bar, and they get pretty expensive. Like they're like $4 a bar, and you're going to need 2 of them. Well, now since this is kind of an older recipe, nowadays they make it easier for us. I bought the chunks, so you don't have to do any chopping. You just dump them in. And at this point, I mix them with a wooden spoon or a spatula. My idea behind this collection of recipes was just to give you a few ideas for maybe a Super Bowl party or even just a gathering with friends. And men always like cookies. They always like chocolate chip cookies. This is a little bit of a twist on a chocolate chip cookie because it has the chocolate chips and it's got chocolate. So who doesn't like chocolate? Okay. Put them on an ungreased cookie sheet. I'm using a DeMarle cookie sheet with the silk hat. I like the way it bakes. It'll bake up real nice for you. And you want to make sure that your cookies are about 2 inches apart so they don't bake together. Now remember, all these recipes can be found on the Valley website. If you don't have internet, give the girls a call. They'd be happy to help you with a copy. I'll finish filling this cookie tray and we'll be right back.
Get 3 months free access on all lines plus a new 4G smartphone for only $4.99 a month. 2 great offers with Valley Cellular. Call Valley today at 437-2615 to take advantage of this great deal.
Okay, we're going to get going on the soup. This soup is easy to make if you have your wild rice already cooked. You start out with a ½ cup of raw wild rice. What I do, I buy my wild rice in a box and I cook it all up at one time, and then I freeze it in packages. So that is a tremendous time saver. This is a soup that you can make in just minutes when the guys are coming in and you're like, what am I going to make for lunch? It's easy to make some barbecue and some soup. So I have melted a ½ cup of butter in here. I'm going to add a large onion that I have finely diced. A cup of finely diced celery. And then I'm using a can of mushrooms, sliced mushrooms. If you have the opportunity to buy fresh mushrooms and slice them, by all means go ahead and use those. This is easier for me, and they're great in the soup. So we're going to cook these for about 5 minutes just so that they're tender. We don't want them to brown or caramelize at all, but we'll get these going. The other thing that is a time saver with this soup, I cook a lot of chicken breasts up and I dice them and I measure them in bags, like 2 cups, 3 cups, whatever. This, I add a cup of finely diced chicken breasts. There's so many things you can do with chicken breast. As you'll see in a minute, we're going to be making some chicken wing dip. But anyway, so that's another time saver for you. If you've got your chicken breast already cooked up, stick it in the freezer, pop it in the microwave, thaw it out, and it's really a time saver. So while this cooks, we'll get working on our chicken wing dip. start out with 2 8-ounce cream cheeses. I'm going to kind of whip those together. They're softened a little bit. Now to this I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of prepared ranch dressing. And a 1/4 cup of chicken wing sauce. You can use mild, medium, or hot, whatever you like, and you can find them all in your store, I'm sure. And I get my spatula in here and kind of get the edges. I'm using medium, by the way, just in case you're wondering. I'm using a medium heat. That way then, if you don't know what your guests like, medium, they can usually tolerate a little bit of heat, or you know, and if sometimes you're just safer going with a medium, because somebody that likes it spicy, a mild would be too mild. So then we have our cup of shredded mozzarella cheese. Let's take a minute to stir this. Okay, then we'll stir in our 2 cups of diced and cooked chicken breast. Okay, and then you put it in a pan. I'm going to use kind of a stoneware. It doesn't say to spray your pan. I do just because it's going to be easier when you're doing your cleanup. This will not run over in your oven, so you can fill it to the brim or use a bigger pan, but this is the one I use because I have a holder for it. Okay. We're going to wait just a few minutes. We've got the cookies in the oven, so we're going to wait just a few minutes before we put that in. Need about another minute. Okay, I think that this is about tender. We're going to pour it in our pan. And to this I'm going to stir in about a 1/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Let that cook just a minute. I'll give that just another minute to cook that flour down. Okay, to this now we're going to add 3 cups of chicken broth or chicken stock, whichever you prefer. together a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to stir in the 2.5 cups of wild rice. To get 2.5 cups of wild rice, you need a cup of raw rice. And just follow the instructions on the packet. I always add a little bit of chicken granule or a beef granule, depending on the dish that I'm making, to my water when I'm cooking my wild rice, just to give it a little more flavor. And then I'm adding a cup of cooked and diced chicken breast. That would be optional if you don't want meat in your soup. If I'm serving guys, I usually like to have some kind of meat in the soup. They usually like a heartier soup. So stir that in. And then we're going to add 2 cups of cream. This isn't a low-calorie soup, but it is as delicious of a soup as you will find. If you like wild rice, this is a wonderful soup, especially on a cold January day. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt and pepper to that. I'm going to do about a teaspoon of salt and about 3/4 of a teaspoon of pepper. Okay, we're going to let that heat. You don't want to let it boil, but you want it to get it good and hot. So I'm going to check the cookies. Okay, you want to let these cool on the cookie sheet for a few minutes, about 5 minutes, and then remove them. So we'll let them sit for a minute. And I'm going to get the chicken wing dip going in the oven. Now this, we have to raise the oven temperature to 350. So we'll get this going, and this needs to cook for about half an hour. Now remember, these recipes can all be found on the Valley website. If you don't have internet, give the girls a call. They'd be happy to help you. I'm going to clean up, and we'll be right back.
Valley is now offering updated digital TV packages and prices. High definition and caller ID is now free with all TV packages. Call Valley today at 437-2615 to find out more.
Okay, we're going to pull the dip out of the oven. We've got the pork, we've pulled that out of the crock pot and shredded it. And so we'll pull the soup over here. You can add a little more barbecue sauce. There you go. We've got the Hogaholics dry rub on our roast pork. We've got our cream of wild rice soup. We've got our chicken wing dip and our mocha chunk cookies. Thanks for joining us today on this edition of Country Cooking, and we hope to see you next time.